In this video, I'll discuss conditional loading. Now, when we talk responsive web design, we often start first with media queries, and the media queries are used to determine the state of the browser and the screen and the device that the user is using. So, for example, what's the viewport width, and then set breakpoints for those viewport widths, and change content under those media queries to accommodate the size of the screen and the various options. It's not just a screen, but it's also other things that the device might have. For instance, whether or not it needs to be responsive for teletype or it needs to be responsive for braille readers. So that's one aspect of responsive design. But the next step after that is conditional loading. And we have to be aware that users, when they're using a mobile device, mobile by definition means they're on the move. And that could mean that they're actually paying for their bandwidth or they've got a slow connection. And in either of those two scenarios, the optimal solution is not to deliver the content to the browser at all. And that's where conditional loading comes in. Now, in responsive web design, we talk about conditional loading as being outside of the realm of media queries. Media queries are step one. Conditional loading is when you get into the actual coding with JavaScript, jQuery, JSON, Ajax, things like that, things that operate on the browser side and communicate with the server to determine what content gets delivered and what doesn't. So I've got a couple of sites here that you can look at, and this is one of those things where you can actually go out and search for it, and there's plenty of good information. These are just two sites that I found. One is a great article on conditional loading for responsive designs. It talks about the various issues and aspects of it, and it even provides you with some code here. So we're getting now into Ajax and JSON and things like that. So you've got some code here that you can actually work with. So this is one great article. And then the other one is another article, but it's actually more. It's called Responsive Comments. And this is a purely client-side solution for conditional loading when we talk about responsive web design. So this will give you information on what it's about, how it works, and how to use it. And so it's a very, very powerful way of actually doing your responsive design. And again, it's something you may want to consider tacking onto your media queries as sort of the next logical step in your responsive web design. Now, there are plenty of other solutions out there. These are only two that I've sort of come across and tend to refer to when I'm actually thinking about responsive web design. And certainly it's an important sort of final step in your responsive web design where you've considered everything else. Now you want to consider what content to deliver to that device and just instruct the server on the client side not to send it.